therapy, right? Therapy with T. You say you have several male clients, right? That individual never goes outside. They go so that person doesn't have hobbies, right? And then it's surprised why they can't meet and they can't meet anybody of the opposite sex, or their hobbies is a male dominated hobby, right? That
I
they're
build
obsessed with, and
Legos
then
in my
surprised,
house.
right? And they surprise, right? Like I build Warhammer 40K Legos in my house, and you're surprised that no woman is coming to you to meet you. And then to the other example, it's someone who only dates smuts, right? And it's like, well, he's technically not lonely. He's got plenty of people around him. He don't love himself to be able to be cool with finding love. So that's the reason why it is.
Yeah.
I disagree with people calling themselves lonely. I think people just socially have just gone backwards. Like socially, we've gone backwards because we just don't have shit to do. That's the last thing I'm gonna say. Continue.
Dynamite, dynamite.
Hey guys, how you doing? My name's Hero. This is oh man, I was about to say Coding with Strangers. This is the Identity Booth. My name's Hero. That is Shake. Our goal here is to identify with you as you identify with us. If you have the opportunity to help anybody or donate any funds, I'll put any of the links I have down here for the relief and search and rescue effort for the Texas flood. They're going to get hit with another storm and see more pain and outcry. I'll put that in the description below, but please reach out if you have the space in your heart to do it, the capacity in your wallet, make an effort for it. But we're going to take a second here to talk about the travesty that is the Texas flood, and not just like what it means for it to happen, but we want to kind of redefine and sort of prepare you all for the conversation to come, because somehow, some way, a flash flood happening in a place called Flash Flood Alley is a surprise.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was called Flash Flood Alley. That was surprising.
Hey, yo.
That was the biggest surprise of the night.
Okay.
Other people did not laughing. Continue. Off of the top.
I'm not laughing at this. I'm laughing at the fact he laughed. I'm not getting canceled for this shit. That's
First time the show we get canceled for laughing at 100.
All right. But the once in a lifetime moniker has to go away. This is an annual event. This is going to be an annual event. And the one thing we can't allow the narrative to happen is the narrative change, sort of like how they do with active school shooters. This is not the time to talk about weather instruments or alert systems. Right now it's about thoughts and prayer. We can't let them change the narrative of this. We have to keep people focused. And quickly but quietly, that is the situation that's going on. So, for lack of better terms, Sheikh, do you want to give us an update about what is going on and where we're at?
So I forget what county in Texas. So far, they've counted 100 people, 100 plus people died in a flash flood, 119 in a flash flood. And I know you kind of alluded to it, and it's because I believe in that county, they didn't want to pay $1 million or $3 million. I can't see the actual article you have up, right? For the alert system. And
$50,000 for a temporary testing of the Kerr County alert system.
Oh, so 50K, not $1 million or $3 million, 50K. And ironically, the funny thoughts and tariffs situation of this is less a week before it happened. The protection that I forget what the acronym, the NAOO, the National Weather Service System, when Trump's admission gutted that for, and we can go into nefarious conspiracy theories that I have as per why they did that. The alert that would just tell everybody regardless is no longer there. So now, Hero, I know you and I have had conversations about this. Do you want to share with the chat why do we think this is happening? Not so much the weather. I'm talking about the gutting of the
gutting
weather
of the
service.
system. I want to talk a little bit about that role before, but yeah, we should definitely share it because it's not a conspiracy if it's weird. It's a function of our reality now. This is the function of our reality. If we wanted to be conspiracy theories, we could make the argument that every time Ted Cruz goes on vacation, traumatic weather attacks Texas. So maybe he is an angel. Yeah, the freeze of 2021, and now
He was about to go to Mexico.
Yeah.
He was on his way to Mexico.
he was already there.
Yes, you're right. And they flew his ass back.
Yeah.
And he left his family. You're right.
So
You're right.
we could talk about that.
Time.
He's probably.
No, I was talking about the.
I know which one you were talking. I'll let you share that one. The thing that is super
real conspiracy. Go ahead.
The thing that's super like interesting about this is we as a society have become goldfish when it comes to memory. Like, I know I'm dyslexic, but I work on my skills. I read articles out loud so that I don't become a shell of myself. But we literally can't remember burying our loved ones and why we buried them, right? And I'm not going to sit here and chastise kids. I'm not going to sit here and chastise people dumber than me. But I will sit here and But I will sit here and say, we know that the poorest white person will sell their soul to be perceived better than a black person. And to know that in a place called Flash Flood Alley, that the black and brown kids couldn't camp at the river basin because that's where the predominantly white part of the community was. So the black and brown kids were spared in this flood because they were already at higher grounds because they didn't have access to real estate. Is literally segregation at its finest.
Saving our asses.
Saving our asses. So there's a part of me that wants to point the finger and be like, well, where them fans at? But there's also a firm realization that we are obligated, whether we like it or not, to save people we might not agree with. That's the nature of the beast. That, at least for me, I can only speak for me. But
water, the rising tide brings up all ships. Right? As much as it doesn't benefit, well, as much as you might not want to bring up the poor, on welfare, racist, poor white family, right? Understanding that bringing him up, as terrible as trickle-down economics is, it does slowly trickle and push us up. We would technically always be at the bottom of the totem pole. We can be at the highest level of the bottom of the totem pole, but we were technically always going to be on the bottom of the totem pole. Two, what happened with the storm. This, to me, is ringing the alarm bells that they are going to privatize the National Weather Service. That you will be able to pay $3.99, $5.99 a month, $400 a year. But guess what? Know ahead of time that flash floods in your area. Know ahead of time that there's a certain type of storm coming. Yeah, if you can't afford to be warned ahead of time. Sorry, you suck all. This is textbook what you do when you acquire a company. You strip it of its assets and you sell it to your subsidiaries for pennies on the dollar. This is one of the assets of we have as a American populace. Once you're in this country, you get the weather for free. Like, you don't have to pay for it. Weather Channel might have ads, but you don't pay for it.
I'll take it a step further, because people are saying that's mahogany, bull wash. That's not true. The post office.
Privatized going to be.
Trump literally during the middle of an election was trying to dismantle the only reliable source of mail-in ballots, so that Amazon, so that FedEx, so that UPS could become the source of truth. And I want you to understand something. The post office has their own SWAT enforcement team, because back in the 60s, that's why Amazon and other companies can't put their mail in your mailbox, because that is technically federal owned space and is delegated for federal property. So when The only time they're allowed to break that rule is when something is rush delivery, which is a formed consent of the owner saying that this trumps whatever local mail is to my attention. And at one point, UPS decided to just make all packages urgent so that they could deliver directly to mailboxes instead of taking time away, because it's a business. The time they take to walk from the car to your front desk takes more time. They said, oh, we'll just give it to everyone for free. They sent their SWAT team in there to steal their servers, not steal it, subpoena, because they had a court order from a judge. And imagine a team of SWAT members coming in dressed in all white, brown, and like all the the U.S. postal colors to take your shit down. Like, that's just crazy.
The navy and light blue.
Yeah, that navy and white blue to take your shit. And it's just crazy to me that, like, they dismantled that to the extent now where rural family and farm homes people are now being charged late fees because they can't get mail no more. Because UPS and FedEx aren't obligated to go to those places if it doesn't make financial sense for them. But the post office, the United States Post Office, is required. So the NORA, the system designed to give national weather to the 2 empty Austin spots that haven't been filled in the last 6 months since Trump has taken office, even if they were filled in time, they wouldn't have had the resources to do anything about it. NORA didn't fail. Texas leadership failed Texas residents. And
and this is where I disagree. You said, and I wanted to say it earlier, you were like, that's not my job to laugh at the children. It's not my job to point fun at the voters. And guess what? You're right. It's not your job. You're a better person than I. It is my job. Right? I'm sorry, children that died. Your parents voted for that. Right? Thoughts and tariffs. These are the consequences of life. Consequences could be good and bad. Right? That's the reality of it. Guess what? You voted for somebody who, not like he didn't tell you he wanted to privatize everything. And now guess what? When you were mad that when your grandmother, right, is swept away in the storm because guess what? She's on Social Security. Oh, wait, that's going too. And she can't afford to pay for the weather service. Right? She's on her way. Like,
to the upper room.
Exactly. Well, she going a little warmer place with her voting track.
She looking up at you, kid. But there's to the point of like am I at the point now where I'm ready to like point fingers? Yeah, there is, because what's the song? They'll pick Peter Paul and pick him dry. Like they will. They'll they'll literally sit there and watch you pick your pockets, and you'll be smiling at them. And I don't know, I don't know if I have it in me. There's so many things I don't have the energy for anymore. Whether it's brown people, Mexican people, Latin American people figuring out like, oh shit, they really was deporting people from all walks of life, to like a place called Flash Flood Alley being shocked. And it's no qualm here. People probably thinking like, oh, it's probably 2 inches of Niagara Falls dumps about 11 million gallons of water a day. Times 2 is what they got in 1 hour. They got that much. So this was by no stretch of the imagination something that they would have been. Hear me out. A warning would not have saved all of the people that were able to hear the warning. The warning wouldn't have saved enough of the 119 are missing, and the remaining 190 missing. Of the 119 gone, and the 190 missing, I don't think that happens. I don't think that alarm saves them all. But as Kanye West says, I guess we'll never find out now, right? So
I guess we'll never know.
But I just want to prepare us. Don't fall into the trope of letting them turn this into like school shooting conversations. Hold your public officials to the fire. A judge who survived the storm When asked, do you think those alarms will be voted in now by the people? He said, not if they have to pay for it. And that speaks volumes for me, right? That speaks volumes for me. But, you know.
But here's the thing. Well, then why then ask me to give a damn?
I don't know.
Why should I extend?
And Shake, honestly,
because they are choosing to not give a fuck.
Shake, I don't know. And this part of me, I have to go to therapy for this because there's a part of me that is becoming colder. Because could you imagine? Like, no, Shake, could you imagine? You get the alert. You know you got an old neighbor next door. I'm 6'5" black hero. I'm like, oh shit. Mm-hmm. Oh, Miss May, I'm gonna go get Miss May. And I go knock on the door and I get shot. Because I'm standing my ground, someone knocked on my door, and now I got water at my ankles and I panicked. My death will be relegated to the past. So not only do they believe I died in the storm, I died from trying to be a better person. There was a kid who swam not once, not twice, but 4 times to a house during the storm to save a family that he said never let them play with it on their side of the lawn.
I mean, good for him, but some people could do it. I wouldn't. Like
I know I'm wrong.
I don't have the emotional. I just don't have the emotional fortitude for everybody, because at some point, people need to suffer the consequences of their actions, and that's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Like, we all need to suffer the consequences of our actions at some point.
All right. You know what? You know what the world's missing? A little bit of empathy. And the reason why we need it is so we can identify with you as you try to identify with us. My name's Shiro, that's Shake. Please look in the description below for anything you could do to offer help, support. Don't let our nihilism be the reason why you don't do it. Better people than us have to stand amongst us for the love of everything, right? See you guys on the other side.